Hi everyone, my name is Adam Pickstone. I am part of the Open to View New South Wales team. So I've been brought on board the New South Wales team to lead up video, and today I wanted to introduce myself and say hi. I also wanted to show you guys a little edit that I did this week. Now I use Final Cut Pro, so disclaimer there. For those who use Premiere, it is a great program and I used it a lot in my career and I still use it to this day, but I do prefer Final Cut Pro X. And for those who may be wanting to use Final Cut Pro X, I think this is a great little insight into the workflow and kind of what I do in Final Cut Pro X. But for those who even use Premiere, you can learn some stuff in here. So let's have a look. All right, guys, so here we are inside of Final Cut Pro X. And like I said, I use Final Cut instead of Premiere, mainly because I used Final Cut from an early start, early kind of adopter of it. And there's just so many great features and benefits of why I like Final Cut. But either way, it doesn't matter. Even if you use Premiere, some of these techniques that you will see me do here, you can absolutely use in Premiere. So one of the first things is getting an understanding of the layout of Final Cut. Just a really quick layout here. On the left hand side here, you have essentially where all your clips live, so you can create your events or your bins and even keywords, and that's where all your video libraries, asset libraries, projects, everything lives inside this area here. If you move to this side over here, this is the window where you will see everything, so it's the viewer. So if you're scrubbing through any clips inside your project, you'll see that they will appear in this area here, very similar to Premiere. Over here on this right hand side, you can toggle this off with this button up here. It's your inspector, and the inspector allows you to change assets, change lots of stuff. It does deal with a lot more inside of the timeline. As you can see, as I move my cursor here, the timeline will add different values. And down the bottom here, we have a main timeline. So let's first take a look at this video, shall we? So I'm just going to close these off here so you can watch the video in full. Cool. So as you can see, a pretty simple video. It only really goes without the tag at the end. It only goes for 50 seconds. And in this day and age, this type of marketing, a 50-second, 60-second video is the best way to get your stuff seen, especially through social, like Instagram. So anyway, let's have a first look. The first thing I'm actually going to do first, guys, is actually show you something that if you're not doing, you really need to do, and this definitely applies to both Final Cut and Premiere, and that's music, your music track. You may see here that this is a one music track down the bottom here, this green music track, but actually this is what's called a compound clip. So if I double click inside of that, you can actually see here that I've actually got this music track cut up. It is spliced up to make the perfect length that I want. Now, if I go back to my actual music track here in my top here, you can see if I just place the music track underneath. Oh, that's not the music track, this one is, or even on top. This music track actually goes for like 3 minutes. So I've taken this 3-minute music track and I've condensed it down to, 47 seconds. And this is really one of the best starting points any videography, video editing you can do is by actually cutting your music, and not just cutting your music to slow, to get the right length video that you want, but actually cutting the music to give you your ups and downs, your more dynamic, dynamics you want to get to the point or to get to things quicker. So let's have just a quick listen. So already by 8 seconds, I've taken you on a musical journey. I've got into some dynamic moments. I've got into a big upsell, and that is bringing the journey. That's making it quicker. So if I actually just grab this track here and just place it and extend it, and just close these off here by hitting V, you can see this track keeps on going like this for a while. It gets a bit boring. So what I've done is I've gone to a part in the music where I hear there's a, I'm cutting still on the right beats. So I know this goes dum bump, dum bump, dum bump, and then I found a moment where it builds up here. So, and it swells, boom. And then I even add another dynamic. So this is cuts it near the end. Da, 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 da. And then into a big hit. Now you can see here that I'm actually matching up beats, especially when you get to this one here. You can see the layers here. I'm actually matching up the right beat. So if I zoom right in here, this beat here matches up. I've also added a crossfade here with this track. And what that's going to do is slowly bring this track up to bring into this one. Now, I didn't need to do a crossfade here at the end, but in some cases too, you're going to want to also crossfade out the other one here to give it a smoother transition from one song to another. Like I said, this can be done in both Final Cut and Premiere, but it's really important that if you're not cutting your music to give you the best sound music track and also timing, then it's something that you need to start doing, because anyone can go in, add the music track, and then, oh yeah, at the length I want, I'll just fade it out at the end, I'll just cut it here and then fade it out, put a fade at the end. But really, that's not giving you an interesting dynamic video at all. You really need to be cutting your music. And then I make it what's called a compound clip, so it's really simple to make a compound clip. You just highlight everything, right click, and go new compound clip. And why I do that is that when I'm editing, I just have one single file music track that I can then manipulate. So if I did have talking throughout this, I can keyframe levels down and things like that. And I don't have to do it to individual tracks. I'm actually just doing it to kind of, the one track. So that's really simple. So I'm not going to go through everything here. What I'm going to do is just show you some techniques that I do. So let's just play through this. All right, so this one here, I'm going to show you this clip. Speed ramping. I'm sure you've heard of that terminology before, or time remapping. It's a big part of real estate videos is adding some remapping. Now, or speed ramping, but there's good ways to do it and there's bad ways to do it. One of the worst ways that I've experienced is when people speed ramp, is when they try to do speed ramps from like in a one-shot take, where they're filming from the front door and they're going to go through to this lounge room area, into the kitchen, then go to the lounge room, and then go outside and then back inside. What happens then when you're speed ramping then is the camera movements become so jerky and not the best that you want. So my ways of filming and then speed ramping is I do the movements that I want in that space, and then I just add my transitions into the next space to connect some flows. Now, other things just on shot wise is you keep your shots simple. I see too many people do overcomplicated shots. So let's have a look here. I'm going to show you this speed ramping by going Command R, and you can see here that I've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4 speed ramps in this one clip. So if I zoom right in, I'm speed ramping this first part to 400%, so it pushes in. Just even a slight push in, but it gives, coming from the little speed ramp that I have, oh, no, there's no speed ramp there, sorry. Just this movement here, it helps sell, actually, I think I do have a speed ramp there, do I? No, I don't. The movement I did in physical and camera, and then the movement that played in, just that little doom. And it's on that beat too, on the, hear that? And then I slow myself down. Now, if you're not shooting your video clips in at least 50 frames per second, you need to start to. If your camera can't do 50 frames per second, you need to start being slower with your camera movements. And 50 frames just gives you a smoother push in and actually gets rid of that up and down motion that you can get when using a gimbal. So I speed ramped to slow it down, and then on the next beat, I speed ramped quite a lot to a movement in. Okay, I speed ramped 800%. Zoom. And there's 2 beats here, but it works. It's like doom to doom. So that movement I did in camera, and then I slowed that down at the end, just to give kind of like a smooth. I'm coming in fast, smoothing it out, fast, smoothing it out. Now in Final Cut, speed ramping is really, really easy to do. So let me show you really quickly how to speed ramp something. Okay, so here's that exact clip. I'm just gonna remove FX. Speed ramping in Final Cut. I've got this clip here. This is all the one speed that I filmed it in. Okay? Real simple. So, first thing you're going to do, okay, is choose the areas of the clip you want. Now, I know this whole area is what I want to use. So, you cut the clip to the weight, to the, what you want. Next, to get a speed ramp, you go to here where it has a little kind of stopwatch thing, and you can either choose slow, fast, normal. Blade speed we'll get to. So I know that I filmed this at 50 frames per second, so I can slow that down by 50%. So I've already got now a 50% slower video clip. And now I'm going to do my ramps. So I'm going to know I want that first boom there. I want that first little boom here. So I'm going to finish, I'm going to add my playhead to where I want. Now there's 2 ways to kind of cut, well, there's 3 ways you can cut the clip to do a speed ramp. There's the right way and the wrong way. The wrong way would be to cut the clip completely in half, so then you actually have 2 separate clips here, and then you make this speed faster by either going back to the stopwatchy little thing and going fast and then choosing your thing, or you can press this little arrow down and then it brings up a quick menu and you can go, 8 times. Now what that does, it actually gives you a super jerky motion. You can see there, it jerks it, and you don't want that jerk. So I'm going to undo all that. What I'm actually going to do is do a blade speed. Now you can do a blade speed by going to stopwatch, hitting blade speed, or going Shift B on your keyboard. What that's done now is given me a speed blade here. You can see this orange side left and orange side right. Then what I can do is drag or just choose my time that I want. Now what that's done now is given me, it gives me a smoother speed, because now what you can see here, I'm just going to probably put this back to maybe. What this does here is you can see there's actually some crossfade in the speed that you can do here. You can actually bring those fades in and out to smoothen it out more, as smooth as you want that smooth motion from fast to slow. It's really important to do that, is to add this kind of crossfade on that, because it really is the way to do. So then what I'm going to do then is go into the next ones that I want. So I'm going to go blade to where I want. So now I've done 2 more blades and just speed it up the way I want. And then I've got my doom, doom, and doom. It's not the same as what I had before, but you get the gist. That's how you do a blade speed inside of a speed blade or remapping anything inside Final Cut. Okay, gonna wrap it up in a little bit. So a couple other things that I'm really gonna quickly show is an advanced kind of technique that I have going on with one of my clips, which is right here. Okay, so this transition here from the lounge room to kitchen. Okay, I got a couple things happening here. I'm just going to go frame by frame, and what you actually see here is I actually up the top here have two clips running at the same time, and this is a reveal transition. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening here by clicking on this top layer, go into my inspector, and I actually have what's called a mask, a draw mask. And I'm just going to zoom out so you can have a look. So I actually have a mask that is happening here. So what I have is my clip that I've come from and the clip that I want to go to, and they're overlapping each other here. Then what I'm using is I actually have a physical move that I did in camera, which is just simply a sliding action from right to left to reveal the kitchen. But what I've done is there was this the frame of the door I used as my reveal, and now I've used that to help reveal the next shot by adding a mask. This is what it would look like without the mask. You can see here that you can actually see the door here, and then all I'm doing is moving the shot across, adding it. But what I've done is add a drawn mask to mask out that other area to make it the solid black, and then I just did some feathering to kind of smooth it out, and that mask then helps, and then I just do a keyframe to move the mask to the side with the motion of the video to add my mask transition. A couple other things are happening here. There's actually some speed ramping in this top clip, so it's a faster motion and then it slows it down. Okay. And I also have a position transformation as well. So what I mean is that the actual top clip is actually moving from left to right a little bit to help sell it a little bit more as well. You can see here over in my inspector that these keyframe positions are moving to the right position to reveal that. That helps move it quicker. And then I also have this layer of what's called motion blur on top. So what that's doing is actually giving this a little bit of blur so it seems a little bit more natural to the eye, because if there was no blur it would be pretty unnatural. So the quick motion adds that here. It's a really advanced technique if you've not done any masking. It's an advanced technique. If you've never done masking, I'm more than happy to give these two clips to anyone, and you can practice the masking technique. You can do that masking transition in technique in Final Cut or Premiere. It's not something that you can't only do in one program. You can do it in all programs, absolutely. All right, a couple other really basic things here is everything is color graded. Everything has a place within the music, and you can see these purple layers are transitions. They're transition packs that I have that are pretty easy that I do. So this is a pan up motion. Now the trick with doing transitions is knowing the order that you want to go into. So I'm going from underneath the stairs here and then to above the stairs, the walkway. So I knew I wanted to pan up to help sell that I'm going from down to up. Not just putting transitions in because the sake of transitions, using transitions actually to help move you to the next scene. So this one here is actually, this is a double transition. It is a zoom in transition, but also a pan right because I want to go into that bathroom that is on that right hand side. So if I just did a zoom in, it'll just zoom into here, but adding a pan right transition also helped the camera kind of go zoom this way and gives you that selling of swerving in. Always adding motion blur to anything moving because, for example, if I disable that motion blur, it just feels unnatural. The blur blurs that transition, which helps. Yeah, coloring My base thing for color is adding an adjustment layer here and then adding a LUT. So a LUT is a lookup table. As photographers, I'm sure you understand what presets are. It's essentially a preset. So if I disable it, you can see that's what it kind of looks like, and then add my LUT. But I do go further in that, and then each clip is color graded as well. So over here in my inspector, you can see I've got some color wheels and curves added to it. So if I turn off the effects, so if I turn off my LUT, that's what the clip looks like naturally. I shoot everything on my Sony a7 III with a Cine 4 profile, which is a flatter profile. What that gives me is more dynamic range to handle highlights and shadows, but it does look a little desaturated, less contrasty. So what I first do is I add my LUT as an overlay, as a starting point. Okay, now I use a LUT, what depends on what LUT I'm doing. But then I go into the clip and I start adjusting things. So always looking at my curves over here. I want to make sure I add in my effects. So, I'll do a color wheel adjustment here to make sure that my highlights and shadows are between 0 and 100. Okay, and then I add an adjustment curve back in. I just wanted to add a little bit more contrast into it, because when I did that, the blacks kind of became a little bit muted. So I wanted to add a little bit more contrast in the blacks to give them a little bit depth. So color grading is a technique. I'm still learning things, absolutely. It's all about making sure that you got the colors right in camera as well, which can be hard in real estate because there is mixed lighting. You have daylight, you may have tungsten. You really have to gauge, in this open lit out lounge room area, what am I going to use here? I've got daylight sleeping in from here, but then these LEDs are giving off a cool, 4,500 kind of Kelvin. What do I kind of go for? And, in this situation, there's way more daylight coming from here, but also behind me. So I'm going to go with more daylight, but when I'm in bathrooms, like what am I going to deal with bathrooms? There's like this little kind of muted here. So it's about understanding what you want to do, and I guess what's the best thing here. Anyway guys, thank you for watching my video. So if you guys have any questions about video, please feel free to ask me. I'm more than happy to answer. And if you guys want some more of these little videos, then I'm more than happy to do some. Thanks guys.